So here we are again, staring down the barrel of another patch, Title Update 22.3, dropping February 4th. That's today. And I'm going to give you the quick rundown, and there will be a link down below. But before we go over that, have you ever noticed how every time we get patch notes, the community just kind of collectively sighs? It's not excitement. It's not even frustration anymore. It's just exhaustion. Like, here we go again, because at this point, we already know how this plays out. No one in their right mind expects a live service game to drop a completely bug-free patch. That's just not how game development works, especially in 2025. We get it. These games are massive, interconnected systems with 1,000 moving parts. Fix one thing and 5 other things might break. It happens. But here's the problem. It's not about the existence of bugs. It's about how long they stick around. Let's chat it out.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
We get a long list of fixes. A couple of them might actually matter, but most of them, they're just fluff. Fixes for things no one even knows were broken. Bugs we never asked to be fixed. And somehow, the issues that have been actually messing up the game for months or even years just keep sitting there, collecting dust. I pride myself on keeping my finger on the pulse of the community. And right now, there's a lot of chatter. The expectation isn't perfection, it's competence. It's prioritization. The frustration stems from issues players actually care about that are being left to rot while resources go into fixing things no one even noticed. And the excuse we always get is, we need more time. That's why the DLC got pushed back to ensure a smooth launch. But when has anything in this game ever launched smoothly? They could delay this thing another 12 months and I'd still put money on it dropping with more bugs. The delay isn't the problem. The problem is that players are expected to just sit here and wait while the core game stays busted. And I think that's the biggest issue. Players aren't even mad anymore. They're just tired. We've seen this pattern so many times that nobody's surprised. Every patch is just maintenance mode, just enough to keep the game running, but never enough to move it forward. And at a certain point, you've got to wonder, how much longer can this keep going before players just stop showing up? Silent quitting might be worse for this game than the abrupt, massive leaks we get at every major announcement from the devs, like the one we just got with the DLC push. Look at other live service games. Warframe gets updates out constantly, and while it has its jank, they're actually engaging with the community. Even Cyberpunk 2077, after its disastrous launch, got its act together and reworked the game with updates that actually improved the experience. Meanwhile, in The Division 2, some of the issues have been around for years. But let's talk about the new Warlords of New York bug. People have owned this expansion for literal years, and suddenly, one day, the game tells them, hey, you need to buy that again. What? How is that even a thing? That's not a minor inconvenience, that's money. People are locked out of content they paid for, and yet we're sitting here getting patches about backpack straps stretching too far. And then there's the Umbra gear set bug. How many patches have come and gone since that issue was first reported? And it's still in the game. The hotshot decoy bug and armor break bug, these might as well be considered in-game features, they've been around for so long. Meanwhile, we get a whole section of fixes about vanity items. Scarves, masks disappearing, jacket clipping. I mean, cool, thanks, I guess. But where are the gameplay fixes? Where's the attention to the things that actually impact how we play this game? It's almost like we need Project Resolve 2.0, because the first one didn't really do shit. And even if the patch does fix something important, we all know what happens next. Another thing breaks. Every single major update in this game has come with a new wave of fresh bugs. They fix one thing, 2 more pop up. It's a never-ending cycle. And I know that's just the nature of live service games, but other studios seem to be handling it way better. And what's my new bug for the day? Well, I'm glad you asked. Around 2 out of every 10 enemies I'm encountering don't have an armor or a health bar when I'm engaging them, as if they're not being targeted. That means I don't always know when they're dead, so I'm putting in extra shots, extending my time to kill or the time I'm focusing on them, leading to more reloading and loss of ammo. Okay, let me give you the quick rundown on the list of bugs they decided to resolve with patch 22.3. So first up, we got a Valentine's event running from February 4th to the 18th. I'm going to cover cover that in a separate video. It's nothing crazy, just 6 new projects that'll net you some caches, a backpack, a mask, and a named weapon. Now, onto the actual fixes, modifiers. Yeah, remember those? Yeah, they're not going anywhere. They fixed a bunch of issues with passive and active modifiers lingering when they weren't supposed to, like in conflict mode. Yeah, it's about time they fixed this. The damn season is almost over. And apparently there was some weird bug where using a specific talent could permanently revert your mag size with the Centurion exotic holster. Sad, because I appreciated that bug. Selective fixes, but okay. Then we've got manhunt fixes. They patched some UI weirdness, notifications lingering when they shouldn't, menus jumping around, scout intel being inverted. All fine, I guess, but I don't recall these being at the top of anyone's priority list. Next, we have gear, weapons, and talents, and okay, this one's actually hilarious. Apparently, the Slayer snowball gun was transforming projectiles into grenades or throwable skills. Who knew an old Christmas event weapon could be so damn dangerous? And whoever's exploiting that, damn bro, shame on you. But the real kicker, there was a bug where you could infinitely throw grenades while holding a named weapon called the Cooler, and somehow that wasn't a feature. Shame. So there were some world tier removal fixes. Some low-level agents weren't getting bonus XP, and level 40 gear was dropping at level 1. Basically, if you were a new player, things were more confusing than they needed to be. And then we get to vanity fixes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good fit as much as the next guy, but there are so many fixes for clipping issues, stretch straps, floating SHD bricks, disappearing masks, and even scarves not following proper guidelines. Scarves. If only the devs cared about PvP balancing as much as they care about proper scarf physics. Moving on, UI fixes. A lot of polish here, but nothing that really impacts gameplay. Notifications staying where they shouldn't. Exclamation marks popping up on completed missions. Seasonal caches being mislabeled. Just general housekeeping stuff. And finally, miscellaneous fixes. Audio issues, collectible recordings in the wrong order, matchmaking not working properly for bounties, and a weird bug where the Dodge City holster project would just disappear after starting Warlords of New York. I think that's been around forever. It's the same cycle over and over. The devs put out a patch with a long list of fixes, but it never really hits the core problems. Then months later, we're still dealing with the same old crap while they introduce new issues to the mix. Meanwhile, the big DLC gets delayed, right? Under the promise of a smooth experience. But if history tells us anything, that's a pipe dream. The question isn't whether The Division 2 is fun. It is. That's why people keep coming back despite all of this shit. The problem is that it could be so much better. They just handled the bug fixes with urgency they deserve. You know what would go a long way in easing some of this frustration? Communication. Oh, here we go again, right? Tux talking about communication. Well, what I'm saying here, though, specifically is not just a patch notes drop, not just vague promises about future content, actual real-time developer interaction. Remember when The Division 2 used to have the state of the game updates? If you don't, it's because it feels like a lifetime ago. Back then, even if things were broken, at least we knew why. The devs would sit down, go over the biggest issues, and tell us what was being worked on. Now, radio silence. Imagine if they just gave us 1 hour a month. That's all it would take. One live stream, one Q&A, one direct line to the player where they say, hey, we hear you, here's what's happening, blah, blah, blah. They could go over the hot topics, major bugs, balance changes, content delays, and actually explain what's going on behind the scenes. If a fix is taking longer than expected, tell us why. If PvP is a mess, just acknowledge it. If there's a new roadmap, lay it out clearly instead of letting the community piece it together from leaks and speculation. Because right now, players are stuck in limbo. We don't know what's being worked on. In fact, we have no news beyond the DLC, which is been pushed out to sometime in 2025. We don't have a roadmap. We know season 3 is coming, but that's as far as we can see forward. What does that even mean? We have no picture on the future of the game beyond season 3? Don't you guys think that's weird? Well, hopefully we get an actual roadmap sometime soon. They did acknowledge a year 7 is in the works, and I say, well, I fucking hope so, because that's in like a few months away. And more importantly, we don't even know if the problems we care about are even on the radar. And that's where the frustration really comes from. Not just the bugs, not just the delays, but the feeling that nobody on the dev team is even listening. Now, they say they are, but actions speak louder than words. We want, what's the right word here, active listening. Other games do this. Warframe has dev streams. Meanwhile, in The Division 2, we're just supposed to wait, hope, and deal with whatever gets pushed out in the patch without any real discussion. A monthly state of the game would magically fix everything. Well, almost. But it would show that the devs actually care about engaging with the community, not just dropping updates and then disappearing for 4 months. Right now, it feels like we're shouting into the void. And if they want players to stick around, that needs to change. So yeah, title update 22.3 just dropped. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't, but let's be honest, we already know how this story goes. I don't know. What do you think? Drop a note in the comments and let's hash it out. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?